Excuse me, how abrupt. Hi. Welcome to Politically Incorrect. Let me introduce the panel to you tonight. Mr. Harry Hamlin is over here. I'm glad he's back. Fine actor. You got a TBS movie coming up, Disappearance, April 21st, and the LA Law Reunion movie on NBC, May 12th. Thank you for coming back. Farai, Chideya. Love Farai, Chideya. The Color of Our Future is her book. We don't have it here. She's also got a website, popandpolitics.com. And you are a Knight Fellow?
That's right. That means I get to basically chill out at Stanford, ride my bike around, be a student.
Sounds
Big up to the Knight Fellows. Woo!
Janice, Crouse, this is your book, The Different Kind of Strength, Rediscovering the Power of Being a Woman. Lord knows I would like to. You're also a former speechwriter for President George Bush, the older version.
Right.
Okay. And Eddie Izzard, looking very butch, one of our finest comedy imports. You'll be starring in The Cat's Meow, opening on April 26th. Give a hand to our panel. That's very nice. Okay. Now, I don't know, Janice, I don't know if you get into the baby bus thing in this book, but this is all I have been seeing on the news for a week, is that women who are middle-aged are suddenly shocked that they can't have children. And all I can think of is, for years, I've been saying that women are in big trouble because we live in such a feminized society that they never hear the truth. Oh. They're like a pampered rock star. Nobody ever says, Elvis, stop eating the peanut butter sandwiches, you're going to die. And what, right? I mean...
What feminized society are we living in again? Explain this to me.
Well, what has happened is we're now saying to women what we've said for men all these years. You know, we've said to men, oh, devote yourself completely to your career. That's the only thing that's important. And now we're saying to women that that's the only way you can measure your significance is if you've got a prestigious career and you're making a huge salary.
Well, I know that's your point of view because I read part of your book and you believe the answer is in the Bible. Now, I was with you at the part where you said that they worship this false god of feminism. But then when you started with the, you know, but really look to Christ, I was like, okay, I see where you're going with this. But that's not where I'm going with this. I mean, I understand that part of it, and I think that part of it is valid, that women, yes, sometimes want to be on the career track. But the point wasn't that they wanted to be on the career track exclusively. The point was they thought they could have it both ways. To answer your question, there's the feminized society, is that they have this sense of entitlement that they got fed on television or wherever, that they could have everything. And nobody ever told them, Elvis, stop eating the peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
But it's not just women. We say that to men as well. This is not just a women's issue.
You mean I can have a baby?
Well, you probably will by the time you're 50. I'd put money on it. But the point is...
You'd lose that bet. And we are running out of time rapidly, let me tell you.
You can go out and marry any 20-year-old you want to and have a child anytime you want to. But that's
but he can't actually have a baby. He can't have a baby.
No, he can't have one, but he can...
I'm up for that. But I don't think that's happening until I'm 105.
No, if any one of us is going to have a baby, it's going to be you.
Yeah.
But wait a minute, this is not, I mean, all women. I know a lawyer who is in her early 50s. She has 6 children. She's had a flourishing career as a lawyer. She's now a manager. She somehow has done that. So who
does she have a nanny, though?
Oh.
Well, I mean, probably she has a nanny. How is she going to be a lawyer and do that at the same time? Are you saying that women can't have nannies or
not
shouldn't
at
have
all.
nannies?
Not at all. And in fact, one of the women that I've gotten to know this year has 4 kids. She's a newspaper publisher, has a great husband, and she has a nanny. I think a lot of this is economics. I think a lot of it is if you're a woman who has to work, your husband has to work, and your kids rely on both of you working, which is basically what's happened in the economy. The 1-earner family is now a 2-earner family. Well,
wait.
No.
Are we talking about women who have to work?
Yeah,
or are we talking about women who've chosen a career path that requires them to put so much time into the job that they can't be a mother?
I think that basically in this society, it's a combination of want to and have to. There are some people who are really squeezed economically and absolutely have to work.
But that's a different issue. These are people who don't. We're talking about women who don't have children, not women who have too many that they can't.
But basically, I think a lot of the women who are not having kids see the other women who are basically working 120-hour weeks between home. I mean, basically, if you a lot of women who don't have kids are seen as selfish. But when they look at their sisters, their cousins, who are basically losing their minds, working 120 hours a week.
We're talking about women who get to middle age and want children, but go, oh gosh, where did the time go? I put all my eggs in no basket.
But I don't. But see,
and they find out, because they saw in the news that Madonna and Jane Seymour and some other really rich freaks of nature had children.
Oh, yeah, my son's mother,
in a good way.
My son's mother was 44 when he was born. Is she a freak of nature? I don't think so. She's,
yes,
you know,
according to the statistics, she is, and that's the problem, is that women see this.
I'll tell her that the next time I talk to her.
But in a good way. You know, a good freak, you know, they... no, a
beautiful, wonderful, loving freak.
But not someone to be emulated, because everyone else who thinks, these women, that, oh, you know what, I'll wait till I'm 40.
She's one of the very, very fortunate ones, because the statistics say that you're not going to have children after 40. 90% of the eggs of women after 40 are abnormal.
But what about
the eggs are toast?
But can you? What about the
That was bad.
You're a poach.
Yeah, well.
But with the what's the fertilization thing called, the in vitro?
In vitro.
Yeah.
With that, it is more likely you can have a baby if you use that process, or is that process very expensive, or can
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work all the time. It
But they'll probably come up with something better. You see, I think women should be allowed to say, I want to have a baby and I don't want to have a career, and that's okay. Or I do want to have a career and I want to have a baby later. And if we haven't got the in vitro up to speed, let's get some new stuff.
Well,
there's always...
But that's what we're doing. Because I just think women should have the choice. If they want to have a long career and work to 40 and have a baby at 50, have a baby at 90. Why not? Because we're all getting older.
That's a utopian world, Ed.
It's crazy.
Eddie, you sound just like a woman.
It's the millennium. Look, as an action transvestite, I have to put forward a new agenda here, which is basically opening up the possibilities. If women do want to have a baby at 50, then let's get some new in vitro stuff. Get the guy who's got the thing, or the woman who's got the thing.
Changing the attitude from you can do everything all the time to make choices in life.
I'm saying make choices. I'm saying give them the choice.
You can have a baby at 90.
If you had the choice to have the baby at 90.
Yes, these women, I believe, have already made choices. You're acting like, I think that everyone is acting like these women just woke up one day and were totally not making choices the other time. I think a lot of women are disappointed that now they couldn't have children, but it's not like they weren't making choices. They made choices all the way along.
But
not
they only
to have,
made that choice because they thought they could have.
What are you saying, that they were duped? They were duped into thinking
they
could have
duped themselves because no one said, Elvis, don't eat.
Yeah, but hang on, until these figures came out, they didn't know, and so maybe they didn't have the correct information. But then, at the moment, the in vitro only works to X, and if we get better in vitro, then we will have new information. We can go and have a baby at 50.
No,
why
Eddie,
not?
they don't have the eggs. It's physically
Well, there's always
impossible.
cloning.
No, we can get a new egg
so
machine.
I think what we're...
We got to the moon.
All right, I have to say
You guys got to the moon.
Okay. We were discussing women, you okay?
It's coming apart.
Women and their eggs. And you mentioned cloning. Now, last week, President Bush suddenly went on the warpath against cloning, said no how, no way, no where, no type. I thought it was very disingenuous because he really muddied the distinction between cloning for spare body parts and the type, the stem cell type that really could cure diseases and is not creating life. But he said also that we would, quote, create a massive national market for eggs and egg donors and exploitation of women's bodies. And, of course, everyone applauded, because who wants to be seen not applauding being against the exploitation of women's bodies? But what an insult to women, right? To think that they have no more control. They find out their eggs are valuable and they just all run down and sell them.
It does sound that if we've got sperm banks for men, then why can't we have egg banks for women? I mean,
No one, right? That's funny. You do your own
30%,
meter, I think.
Other people going, what? But I was on the cloning thing. I think, like most people, I was going, whoa, this sounds like sheep are going to attack me or something. And we're all going to wait until and then we can find out exactly what happens at the Attack of the Killer Clowns. But then when it was explained to me just before that it isn't actually like growing a baby on a hook and saying, right, we'll have the leg. It's actually the cell with the nucleus taken out and information, but it's right down to a little cell and the nucleus is taken
you
out.
guys,
It's baby on a hook?
If it were...
Turns out you had it, Eddie.
If they weren't human beings, why would these scientists be interested in them? It would not work in the scientific...
For disease research. That's why they're interested.
Oh, that's snake oil stuff. No,
snake oil?
No, you're spouting the snake oil stuff.
Yeah,
this research is there to cure human disease. And the people who are against this research are putting these little things in a petri dish ahead of people who are sick, who have families, who have children, who need this research to have their diseases cured.
This is a promissory...
Everything else is baloney.
This is a promissory note that has never come
reality.
Through. No.
Recombinant DNA research is responsible for human insulin for diabetes, Herceptin for patients with breast cancer, Epigen for patients with kidney disease, Enbrel to help patients with rheumatoid arthritis, Pulmazone for cystic fibrosis.
Hey, we know how well DNA works. What about OJ? Yeah.
Boy.
Well, that's really relevant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Europeans don't understand. I don't know what snake well is. Is that a well with snakes in? And I don't know what the OJ thing
Snake
was.
oil. They used to sell snake oil in the 19th century as an elixir for everything.
For everything.
But was it good? No, well, on the explanation of what the cloning thing is, I think we're going to do it in Europe, so you guys can actually
it's going to happen anyway.
The first people who did it was China, but they only announced it late. So if you want to find the babies on hooks, we'll just wait for the delayed announcement.
I don't want the baby on hook thing. That's where everyone goes, ooh, that's a bad thing.
Yes, I know.
If you've seen Alien 4, that's where everyone, oh, no, that's gone wrong.
Well, this is... To me, the cloning thing is all about money. You know, it's not about exploitation of women's bodies. It's all about money because it's all going to be about what products you can get. And frankly, the egg thing is already happening. People already advertise for egg donors, and they get very specific. They're like, okay, well, I want a blonde woman who has X, Y, and Z college education, very stratified by race, very stratified by education. You know what? Human beings are already bought and sold. Did anybody read the New York Times things about people who sell their organs? And basically, you can go to other countries and say that you're on an organ list here. You can go to other countries and buy someone's organ, just pretty much off the street, and say, oh, you're poor, I'd like your kidney. And people will give it to you because they're desperate.
Research cloning and nuclear
because everything has a price. Everything has a price. And cloning...
What, does curing cancer have a price? A price that I'm willing to pay. And Parkinson's disease,
I'm not saying I'm against cloning,
and Alzheimer's disease.
I'm saying that all of these issues that we think of as very theoretical and very human-centered, all of these barriers, I think, are going to fall along price points. That's
but the price point I think you're missing is that what's really expensive is getting elected president. And you sometimes have to...
They cloned the senior one and got that junior one. You've already done that.
And so sometimes you have to pander to certain constituencies in order to
that's how
achieve
women randomly got
I can't understand why George Bush would say this unless he was pandering
there's no question
to that very far insane right wing that thinks that 30 cells in a petri dish is human life, and that it is better to ban that than to use that to cure people of the diseases I mentioned.
Well, he didn't call it human life, he called it nascent human life, and the definition of nascent is evolving. So it hasn't really gotten there yet, it's in the process of becoming human life.
And then you can have pre-nascent on that, and then you can just keep going back.
You can go all the way back, so wait a minute.
I think it might be
the dinner that I had with my date that led to the thing that created could have been the actual nascent human experience.
Oh, you guys, we're talking about money here, and we're talking about scientists who are using human beings, potential human beings, and if we don't have respect for this type of human being, where do we draw the line?
We don't want to clone other human beings. We want to use these cells to cure disease.
Okay, that's all rhetoric, and none of that
is absolute science.
That's the other end of it. The rhetoric is what is anti-science.
Yeah, you have the rhetoric point of view.
The rhetoric never cured anybody.
But if that's rhetoric, yours is rhetoric. Rhetoric is the word, so the words that you're saying is also rhetoric. So
we have
this is a rhetoric show.
I know. We have adult stem cells that will do the same thing. We don't need to go to embryonic stem cells, and this is manipulating science for human purposes
Well,
and for
You
financial
think the only
purposes.
reason they're doing it is to make money? That's the only reason anybody's doing any of this stem cell research and this cloning of human embryonic cells is just to make money? No one's really interested in curing
No,
disease?
I think people are very interested in curing diseases.
Well, I'm
But
glad to
we
hear you
also-
say that, because they are. There are 40 Nobel Prize-winning scientists have come behind the research cloning effort, and they have basically said that if we don't do this, we will be missing a huge opportunity to cure some of the worst and most egregious diseases in the world. Now, who's right here? I mean, 40 Nobel Prize-winning scientists?
Or a guy who
President
just
Bush.
learned what the word nascent meant. We've got to take a break. We'll be right back. Okay. Well, today is tax day. I guess that doesn't affect you, but for the rest of us, this is a painful day. We got to set our wallets back 6 months. An interesting sidelight to this today story. In the last 2 years, 100,000 African Americans have claimed the slavery tax credit, which is a demand for reparations. And of course, the IRS gave it out to a lot of them. It doesn't exist. The IRS paid out $30 million for the slavery. Yeah. And it's based on in 1993, Essence magazine had an article that said, with inflation, the price of 40 acres and a mule today would be about $43,000, and that's what these people have claimed. They're getting it, which I think is hysterical.
So, Andy, don't you want to move to the U.S.?
No, I'm fine, thanks. And they're not giving transvestites any money at any point.
Yeah, right.
But
All you have to do is apply for the tax credit. You'll get it.
Well,
Yeah,
I've
right.
got two questions. One, 40 acres and a mule. That was a Civil War thing,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
again, we have to explain to our friend from Not America. Yes,
And
after
half of
the
America.
Civil War, right? Help me out on my history here. But this was Reconstruction when they were trying to curry favor. This is back in the days when the Republicans favored the blacks. That's how long ago this was. And the Republicans won elections in the South by promising 40 acres and a mule to the recently freed slaves.
Gotcha. So that is...
And it was promptly rescinded in basically a cutthroat measure of, retrenchment pretty much right afterwards. The,
Right.
Original.
So they never
crew
got their 40 acres and a mule.
So it was a continuation of the Native American promissory...
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, Native American genocide, enslavement.
Here's some blankets
et cetera.
covered with tuberculosis.
Exactly. Here,
Help yourself.
No, you can't have
yourself
it.
out.
America.
No, we want it. Oh, we got tuberculosis. No, you have these.
America.
I want to know why. Did they just fill in a piece of paper and say, "Can I have $43,000?"
I think it's pretty extraordinary to start off with that the government actually paid this out. I mean, I'm going to write a magazine article saying that people who have braids get $1 million each, and then I'm going to
I claimed my credit for tennis elbow already. I got tennis elbow a couple years ago.
Excellent.
And then I got audited. So.
Oh yeah, but let me just frame a little bit of this reparations thing. There's a guy out of Harvard named Charles Ogletree who's a law professor who's running a big thing about reparations. And I'm not going to explain all of it, but to put it simply, black people built America. I'm just going to say it like that, simply. We built the White House, we built the Capitol. Anytime you go to Washington, we built it. 400 of the 600 people who built the White House were slaves.
Excuse me, you built some of America.
Well,
let's not get ridiculous.
This is politically incorrect. I can be politically incorrect if I
Well,
want.
that's just plain wrong. It's politically incorrect, which is...
It's hyperbole, but I'm saying...
Hyperbole.
Reparations?
Basically, what reparations talks about is on many levels, taxation without representation. And so you talk about Washington, D.C., which is pretty much the only place you can live in the continental United States and not have voting representation.
Right.
Voting representation in
People
the democracy of America.
But
Washington, D.C. is mostly black. Oh, my goodness. So we have this sort of trickle-down effect. I think we need to talk about stuff. I think reparations is a great
You're
chance
right,
to
but
drag
not now.
stuff out.
We have to have it. Sorry. All right, baby on a hook. Thank you. There's your book, Janice. Different kind of strength. Baby's the old-fashioned way, from the stork, the way it's supposed to be.